the hare and turn her down the rocky road, and all the ways to double and whack for lolly-roll. Hey there guys, this is James Ryan here, with another dramatic reading of Past Sins by Penstroke, assisted by Batty Gloom. Sorry I haven't updated in a while. I've just been kind of, I hate to admit it, I've been lazy. I've been playing a lot of Skyrim. I traded a Halo 4 for Skyrim with my brother. That was a very, very worthwhile trade, I must say. You never get bored in Skyrim. Anyway, this is Chapter 1 of Past Sins by Penstroke. Chapter 1, Ever Free Discovery. Oh, Twilight, I just heard the news. Did those ruffians hurt you? Are you okay? Oh, I just can't imagine what it must have been like. I mean, it was probably similar to when I was ponied out by the Diamond Dogs. Still, that's not the same as getting taken by other ponies, and I, for one, Rarity! Twilight half shouted. She was sitting at the library's main table and looked as if she had been reading when Rarity chose to barrel in. Spike was in the main room of the library as well, working to organize and clean the shelves. He hung back from the ladder he was standing on and wore a smitten look as he waved a claw. Hi, Rarity. Good day, Spike, she said before she turned her attention back to Twilight. Now, what is it you wanted to say, dear? I want to tell you to relax, Twilight assured her. I'm fine. Fine? Rarity echoed dramatically. How can you be fine? After such a harrowing ordeal, you must be positively petrified, and I heard they had you tied up. Oh, you must have such horrible rope burns. Twilight winced and looked down at her hooves. I'll admit, it does hurt a little when they had me tied up, but Nurse Redheart already took a look. It's just a minor irritation that'll go away by tomorrow. So, Rarity, believe me when I say, I'm fine. Are you sure? I'm sure, Twilight repeated, though her voice betrayed her minor annoyance. I appreciate your concern, but every pony has already been here to check on me. Every pony? Even Fluttershy? She was actually the first. Oh, what a horrible friend I must be, Rarity voiced. She put a hoof to her head and wore a pained, theatrical expression. Being the last to arrive to check on you. I would have come earlier, but I was working in my shop all day. I only just stopped to get out. I only just stepped out to get a late lunch when Rainbow Dash found me and told me everything, and I rushed right over. Rarity, it's okay. No, it's completely unacceptable. I officially owe you, Twilight Sparkle, a favor. A what now? Twilight asked as she cocked an eyebrow. A favor. Pinkie Pie has her promises. I have my favors. You just come to me if you need anything, and if I can help, I will do my very best to assist. Rarity paused, glancing anxiously away from Twilight while batting at a few strands of her hair. Just as long as it doesn't involve excess amounts of dirt. Twilight giggled a little at Rarity's usual discomfort. I'll be sure to keep that in mind, but you don't have to worry about me, Rarity. I'm fine, really. Yes, getting pony napped wasn't exactly how I intended to spend my evening, but everything turned out alright. If anything, I'm just a little annoyed. I've been trying to get some reading done all day, but because every pony keeps coming to check on me, I haven't even gotten past the first page. Then I shan't take you another moment of your time, dear. You just read, relax, and recover from your traumatic ordeal. Rarity said as she headed for the door, only to turn back one final time. And remember, if you need anything, I owe you one favor. I got it, Twilight replied as she watched Rarity leave, using her magic to shut the door after her. Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and now Rarity. She had been visited by all her closest friends, and she had told all of them that she was okay. She had also received letters from her parents in shining armor, and she had assured them of the same. That was every pony she could think of that would be panicked by the news of what happened. So maybe now she would be able to read her book. Spike! Twilight called a few hours later, after finally getting a good distance into her book. Can you bring me that book I had yesterday? Mountain Valley's Geographic Guide to Equestria? Spike, who had been feeding his pet baby phoenix Pee-wee, paused from his work and glanced in Twilight's direction. Didn't you have it with you yesterday? Twilight looked up from her book and stared at the ceiling as she tried to think back. Well, I didn't think... But maybe... No, wait. I did have it, didn't I? Yeah, I put it in my saddlebag so that I could have it when I read this book at the park, but I realized I had left this book here. Twilight began to point her hoof at different spots in the air, mentally retracing her steps. So I came back, but then Pinkie Pie grabbed me to help decorate for a party. That took all afternoon. So the book was still in my saddlebag, so I went to the party, and then I left the party to come back here, and then I got Twilight quickly twisted her head around as her eyes darted around about the library. She jumped to her hooves and began galloping around the room in a panic while rummaging through drawers and checking every nook and cranny she could find. The sight made Spike sigh and shake his head. He gave Pee-wee the last of the birdseed he had in his claws before he began jogging after Twilight. He waited, and when he had the opportunity, he leapt in front of Twilight just as she was turning to gallop in another direction. Whoa, easy, Twilight. What's wrong? Twilight craned her neck around Spike, trying to look at the part of the library he was stopping her from reaching. My saddlebags! Where are they? How should I know? He asked with a shrug. Oh no, no. Twilight rattled off, shaking her head from side to side. I had my saddlebags with me when I was pony napped, and that means that either those cult ponies took them, or I lost them somewhere along the way. No. I can replace the copy of a Geographic Guide to Equestria, but I have books in that bag Princess Celestia loaned me from the Royal Library. I can't lose those books. No. Spike grabbed the sides of Twilight's head and brought her eyes to his. Twilight, breathe and think. Can't you just use your locator spell? Twilight paused for a moment before a smile of relief burst onto her face. She closed her eyes and focused as her horn started to shimmer and blink. The locator spell was a charm Twilight put on her saddlebags after losing them one too many times. The charm would allow her to find her saddlebags based on similar magical principles to the spell Rarity used to find gems. After the spell had been cast, Twilight waved her head around while crossing her eyes so that she could gauge how fast her horn was flashing. She set off in the direction the flashing was the most frequent, and soon found herself drawn to a window. Beyond that window, she could see the Everfree Forest. Twilight groaned and put her hooves up on the windowsill. Great. That's just great. My bags are in the forest. Then you should probably just forget about them, Twilight, Spike said. They're just books, after all. But that's just it, Spike, Twilight argued. They aren't just books. Some of the books in those bags were on loan from the Royal Canterlot Library, and Princess Celestium loaned them to me herself. Do you realize how disappointed she'll be if I tell her I lost those books? No, I can't just leave them there. I'm going to get those books. With that, Twilight began to trot towards the door, only for Spike to quickly cut her off. Nuh-uh, no way, Twi. Princess Celestia would have my scales if she found out I let you go back to the Everfree Forest the day after you were pony napped. Well then, she won't find out, Twilight replied before she levitated Spike out of the way. He, however, ran right back into her path. But what if those crazy ponies are still in the forest? Do you want to get pony napped again? Princess Celestia's guards scoured the forest last night with Zecora's help. I doubt any of those ponies are still there, Twilight rationalized. Besides, I need to get those books back. They're irreplaceable. Then I'm coming with you. Twilight shook her head firmly. No, Spike. I need you to stay here in case some pony comes by. The last thing we need is every pony thinking I got pony napped again. And what if some pony comes by to check out a book? This is a library. We can't just close it whenever we want. Spike, however, was not convinced. He crossed his arms and eyed Twilight. I still don't like it. Can't you find some pony to go with you? Every pony else is busy, especially after taking time to come and see me. Besides, I've been to the Everfree Forest before, Spike. I know how to keep myself out of trouble. Says the pony that got turned to stone by cockatrice, Spike pointed out. Twilight smiled weakly. I'll admit that wasn't one of my better moments. Still, if I'm not back in 3 hours, you could tell the princess that I left. You can even say that I put you to sleep with a sedation spell so you couldn't stop me. Twilight, I don't want you to go because I think it's dangerous, not because I don't want to get in trouble. Spike, I promise everything will be fine, Twilight reassured Spike as she walked around him and continued towards the door. Now, just keep doing your chores, and I'll be back before you know it. She glanced at the clock. It's just after 3, so if I'm not back by a little after 6, then you can tell Princess Celestia, but I promise I'll be back before then. Twilight swallowed nervously, stepping slowly through the forest as she kept her head down, following the light of her blinking horn. The threatening trees of the Everfree Forest surrounded her, their mangled and twisted branches reaching down from the canopy like deadly claws. The sounds of the forest was also strangely unnerving. Twilight's ears swiveled constantly to pick up any trace of sound as shivers ran up her spine from both the tension and the chill in the air. Okay, maybe it won't be fine, Twilight muttered, finally admitting to herself that she wasn't ready to brave the forest alone. Logically, she tried to convince herself everything was fine, but her mind was still playing tricks on her. She couldn't keep herself from believing every pony-shaped shadow she saw was one of the cult ponies coming to pony nap her again. She even charged off the forest path a few times, trying to get a jump on a would-be assailant, only to discover it was a bush or tree branch. The situation was only made worse by the dark, gray, threatening clouds that were rolling in over the forest. It was the Everfree Forest's first spring thunderstorm. Twilight could only imagine how horrible it would be to be caught in one of the forest's infamous wild storms. They were rumored to have winds strong enough to pick a pony off her hooves and throw her halfway across Equestria. They were also supposed to have lightning that could... Twilight shook her head and tried to clear away her panicked thoughts. She was getting close to her saddlebags now. The rate at which her horn was flashing was a sure indicator of that. She just needed to get those bags, and then she could just teleport herself back to the library. Just hold it together, Twilight. Just hold it together a little longer, she whispered to herself in a half-hearted pep talk. However, as she rounded a bend in the path, her pep talk died in her mouth, her pupils shrank, and her breathing quickened. Her locator spell had led her back to where she had been pony-napped the night before. The place where she had been held captive by the cult ponies. For a moment, Twilight had to fight the overpowering urge to teleport back to the library and leave her saddlebags and the rare books they contained to their fate. That urge, however, subsided when Twilight noticed her horn was blinking faster. She was so close, so very close, and, with a nervous swallow, she mustered the courage to continue. She trotted along the edge of the clearing until she found the spot where her horn was flashing with the greatest frequency. Then she rummaged through the bushes and, with a triumphant smile, found her saddlebags. And this concludes Part 1 of Everfree Discovery, Chapter 1 of Past Sins by Penstroke. Part 2 will be up very shortly.